Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary, where I do the research to try to teach you a little something about what you're drinking. Tonight I'm going to be talking to you about Four Roses Single Barrel. Now this is a 100 proof bottle of whiskey, and it is a Kentucky straight bourbon, and it's the third in my series of Four Roses. So if you haven't seen the other two, you might want to watch those first. But for tonight, let's get into this one. If this is your first time with me and you enjoy reviews and just general whiskey knowledge, then click the little subscribe button and then click the bell right next to it. That will let you know whenever I upload another video or do a live stream. So let's talk about this whiskey. So the Four Roses Single Barrel obviously is from a single barrel. Now, as I've talked about in previous videos, since I've dubbed October Four Roses month, Four Roses does 10 different batches. There's the 5 different yeast strains, and then there's 2 different mash bills. Put them all together, you get 10 batches. Now the regular yellow label is all 10 of them. The small batch is only 4, and this guy is just 1. So that does make for a pretty interesting thing and a little bit of variation, almost more so than you would get in a lot of other whiskeys that do single barrels, because most of them are doing pretty much the same mash bill, maybe a couple. This one's basically got 10 different things going on, and the single barrel is chosen from the best, and whatever happened to taste the best that time. So let's go and give this a taste and see if it holds up. All right, so let me go ahead and pour some of this. I will say that the mouth on this is a little nicer than the small batch, a little easier to pour. Now, obviously there's not a whole lot of this gone, but I have made my opinion quite solidly. So let's go ahead and give that a little swirl and give it a nose. All right, so as you would assume, this is 100 proof. It's got a little bit of a burn to the nose, but really not that bad. I've certainly nosed other 100 proof whiskeys that have really actually burnt quite a bit. Now, this is mellow as far as that goes. All right, so underneath the initial alcohol, you get some fruit, maybe a little bit of like plum. And then you definitely get some spice in there, so that's pretty solid. You get some oak, you get a little bit of caramel. Actually, there's a lot to this. I get a little bit of chocolate in there, and then it's weird to say, I almost get a little bit of like a maple syrupy nose out of that. It could just be the sweet though. So let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers. So, at 100 proof, you may question this, and actually this is worth mentioning. I get a lot of comments occasionally where people tell me to add water to my 100 proof or whatever, like I've done Booker's and stuff and not added water. I have a pretty strong opinion that I think a whiskey should stand on its own. And although adding water to whiskey, is scientifically proven to really bring out a lot of flavors, in my mind, and for point of my reviews, I like to taste exactly what they give me. Now that doesn't mean that I don't add water to it. In fact, I would actually recommend that you add water to this if you're trying this at home. Try it straight first, but that's just the way I do stuff, and that's the way I've kind of done stuff since I started this channel. So just to give a little bit of clarity there. All right, let me taste this again because I kind of went on a tangent there. So cheers. All right, so I'd say the biggest thing that strikes me is that although this is 100 proof, it's still pretty tame from a flavor profile. You get some stuff, it's not super complex, but more what I'm getting at is that it doesn't burn. You don't really burn your throat. And actually I'm recovering from a cold, so if it was gonna burn my throat, it would definitely burn my throat today. One thing that does stand out pretty dramatically is the taste of plums. And I did mention that in the nose as being subtle. It comes out more in the flavor here. There's also definitely cherry. I've mentioned this before, but basically think of like having a Manhattan where they pour a little bit of cherry juice in there. You got some of that going on in here. All right, so when I have in the past added water to this, what it does, it doesn't bring out too many more flavors. You get a little bit more vanilla, a little caramel, a little those like very generic bourbon-y things, but in general, you're not getting a whole heck of a lot more out of this when you add water. All right, so my overall. So with my new scaling, I have the ignore it, the try it, buy it, and stock it. I would give this a pretty solid try it, maybe approaching buy it. Now I know that this is very highly regarded in the whiskey world, and just generally people with opinions about whiskey tend to like this. I personally prefer the small batch over this, and although the price difference isn't too much, it's about $10 difference. I think this is 45, the small batch is 35. I personally would buy the small batch any day of the week over this guy. So that's just my opinion, but I don't think that you're getting too much more for that extra 10 proof. So anyway, that does it for my opinions about all things Four Roses, and specifically the single barrel this time. So next month for November, I'm going to be doing Speyburn. That is a Scotch, and now I had originally planned on doing that this month. However, Speyburn is coming out with a brand new offering, and so it seemed to make sense to delay it. It's coming out in November. It's the Speyburn 15. So I'm going to try to get my hands on a bottle of that for next month. Hopefully that works out, otherwise this whole thing was put off for no reason, but who cares? So anyway, have a great rest of your night, and thank you for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary. Cheers.